The ancient radio tower stood resolute against Halcyon's amber sky, its metal framework corroded by 2 centuries of alien weather. Chief Communications Officer Elara Reed climbed the maintenance ladder with practiced ease, her toolkit rattling against her hip. At 43, she was the third generation of her family to maintain the colony's interstellar communication array, a duty that had become largely ceremonial and no one expected Earth to answer anymore. Halcyon Colony had been established 217 years ago as humanity's most ambitious deep space settlement. Located in the Tau Ceti system, it represented the pinnacle of 22nd century human achievement. Then, without warning, all communication with Earth ceased 189 years ago. The last official transmission had been cryptic, Protocol Omega enacted. Maintain radio silence. Survival imperative. For decades, the colonists sent desperate messages back to Earth, receiving only cosmic static in return. Eventually, hope faded. Halcyon turned inward, focusing on its own survival rather than what might have befallen their ancestral home. Elara reached the maintenance platform and opened her toolkit. The quarterly inspection was routine, checking connections, replacing degraded components, and ensuring the array remained operational despite its apparent futility. The colony's governing council had debated decommissioning the tower multiple times, citing resource conservation, but tradition had prevailed. "How's it looking up there?" called Tomas, her apprentice, from below. "Same as always," Elara replied, tightening a bolt on the primary receptor. "Built to outlast us all." She worked methodically, her movements automatic after years of performing the same maintenance. The Halcyon colony had grown from the initial 5,000 pioneers to nearly 60,000 souls, scattered across 3 major settlements on the planet's temperate northern continent. They had adapted to the slightly higher gravity, the longer days, and the peculiar atmospheric composition that gave the sky its perpetual amber HFY. Elara finished her inspection. She performed the ritual that had become a personal tradition, sending a brief signal toward Earth. A simple binary pulse pattern that said, in a most basic form of communication, "We are here. We survive." No one else knew she did this. It would be seen as wasteful, perhaps even psychologically unhealthy to cling to such hope. But Elara couldn't help herself. Something in her couldn't accept that Earth was gone forever. She packed her toolkit and had just begun her descent when the array's receiver, dormant for nearly 2 centuries, emitted a sound that stopped her heart at a beep. Then another, then a sustained tone. "Tomas," she shouted, scrambling back up to the platform. "Get the portable terminal now." The young man stared up in confusion before the urgency in her voice registered. He sprinted toward their vehicle while Elara frantically connected diagnostic tools to the receiver. By the time Tomas returned with the terminal, Elara's hands were shaking. She connected the device and initiated the decoding sequence for incoming transmissions, a protocol that hadn't been used outside of training simulations for generations. The screen filled with scrolling data, signal strength readings, frequency patterns, radiation markers consistent with transmission through interstellar space. "Is that?" Tomas couldn't finish the sentence. "Yes," Elara whispered. "It's a signal from Sol System." The data stabilized, and a message began to form on the screen. The encryption was advanced beyond anything in Halcyon's communications database, but the header was unmistakable. Earth Command 2 Tau Ceti Colony Halcyon. After all this time, Tomas breathed. Elara nodded, tears forming in her eyes. "They're still there, and they remember us." The settlement's primary council chamber hadn't been this crowded in decades. Every council member, department head, and community representative had assembled within hours of Elara's report. The room buzzed with speculation and disbelief. Governor Soren Nakamura, a stern woman whose family had led Halcyon for 4 generations, called the assembly to order. At 72, she carried herself with the rigid posture of someone unaccustomed to surprises. "Chief Reed," she addressed Elara, who sat at the central table, Please present your findings. Elara stood, conscious of the hundreds of eyes fixed upon her. She had spent the past 6 hours analyzing the transmission with her team. At 14:23 Colony Standard Time, our primary array received a directed transmission from the Sol system. She began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The signal bears Earth Command encryption signatures, though using protocols more advanced than our database recognizes. We have managed to decode portions of the message. She activated the chamber's main display, projecting the partial transcript. Earth Command TO Tau Ceti Colony HFY SCI-FI Priority YLPHET Chantisain Prometheus 9 Delta Epsilon 7 After 189 years of silence, communication restriction lifted. Earth has survived, corrupted segment, catastrophic conflict. Population reduced but stable. Recovery ongoing. Interstellar capabilities recently restored. Tau Ceti colony status required immediately. Prepare for further communication. Future contact window. 72 hours. Corrupted segment. Warning. Possible corrupted segment in your vicinity. Maintain operational security to not corrupted segment. Message repeats. A stunned silence fell over the chamber. Is this authenticated? Asked Counselor Wei, breaking the quiet. As head of security, his mind immediately went to verification protocols. The header codes match our historical records, Elara replied. The transmission originated from Sol system coordinates and bears quantum markers consistent with Earth's signature communication technology. While I cannot verify with absolute certainty, every analytical tool we possess indicates this is genuine. Governor Nakamura's expression remained carefully neutral. What do we make of the corrupted segments and this warning? Unknown, Elara admitted. Data degradation over interstellar distances is expected, but the pattern suggests deliberate interference rather than natural corruption. Dr. Andrei Volkov, the colony's chief scientist, leaned forward. If Earth has truly regained interstellar communication capabilities, why wait 189 years to contact us? And what was this catastrophic conflict they reference? More importantly, interjected Wei, what threat might be in our vicinity that Earth knows about, but we don't? The chamber erupted in overlapping voices, theories ranging from alien encounters to civil war on Earth. Governor Nakamura raised her hand, gradually restoring order. We can speculate endlessly, she said firmly, but facts remain scarce. What we know is this. Earth has survived some form of calamity. They have re-established contact, and they warn of a potential threat. Chief Reed, can we respond to this transmission? Elara nodded. Yes, Governor. Our array was maintained specifically for this eventuality. We can transmit a response during the next optimal window, approximately 8 hours from now. Then prepare a message, Nakamura ordered. Confirm our survival, provide population and development statistics, and request clarification regarding the warned threat. Council members will review the draft before transmission. As the meeting disbanded, Elara found herself surrounded by colleagues, all asking questions she couldn't answer. Only Tomas noticed her distraction. What is it? He asked quietly as they left the chamber. Elara glanced around before responding. Something about the message doesn't make sense. The encryption, it's beyond what Earth had when we lost contact. Yes, but it's also familiar somehow. Familiar how? I don't know yet, she replied. But I intend to find out. In the subterranean archives of Halcyon's Historical Preservation Center, Elara and Tomas pored over ancient digital records. Few colonists ever visited these depths. Most found the past less interesting than the pragmatic concerns of colonial life. Here, Elara said, highlighting a segment of code on her terminal. This encryption pattern from the Earth transmission, it shares structural similarities with this. Tomas leaned closer, examining the comparison. The screen showed a communications protocol from Halcyon's earliest days, developed by the colony's founding engineers. That's impossible, he whispered. Why would Earth use an encryption based on our colony's proprietary code? Exactly, Elara replied. Unless they got it from us, Tomas finished. But we haven't successfully transmitted to Earth since my grandfather's time, Elara said. But what if someone did? Outside official channels. They spent hours diving deeper into the archives, eventually discovering activity log from the communications array dating back 80 years. During a 3-month period, there were power fluctuations that had been attributed to equipment malfunction. These aren't random, Elara realized, studying the patterns. These are deliberate power draws. Someone was transmitting high-density data bursts towards Sol system. Who would have authorization to do that without the council knowing? Elara's expression darkened. Only one person, the chief communications officer. My grandfather. Further investigation revealed a hidden directory in the communications system, access locked with biometric encryption keyed to the Reed family genetic signature. Elara's handprint unlocked files that hadn't been accessed in decades. What they found chilled them both. Detailed records of signals detected from near the edge of the Tau Ceti system shortly before Earth's final transmission. Signals that matched no known human or natural source. Signals that had been deliberately hidden from the colony's leadership. And a personal log entry from Elara's grandfather, dated one day before Earth's Protocol Omega message. I have transmitted everything we have gathered about the anomaly. Earth Command responds with alarm. They have detected similar patterns in 3 other colonial systems before communication was lost. Whatever these signals represent, they precede silence. I fear our very observation of them may trigger attention we don't want. Earth promises to send help if they can, but warns we may be on our own for an extended period. They are implementing Protocol Omega across all colonies where these patterns have been detected. God help us if my suspicions are correct. Tomas stared at Elara. Your grandfather knew why Earth cut contact. It wasn't a catastrophe on Earth. It was to protect us from something else. And now, Elara said quietly, after nearly 2 centuries of silence, Earth reaches out with a warning about something in our vicinity. The same thing returning? Or has it been here all along, watching? They compiled their findings and rushed toward the surface, intent on reaching Governor Nakamura before the response to Earth was transmitted. They were so focused on their discovery that neither noticed the subtle fluctuation in the lighting as they passed through the archive security checkpoint, a fluctuation that hadn't occurred in the system before today. Governor Nakamura listened impassively as Elara presented their findings. The small emergency committee gathered in her private chambers included only Security Chief Wei, Dr. Volkov, and colony historian Dr. Imani Okafor. You believe your grandfather concealed first contact with a non-human intelligence. Nakamura clarified, her tone carefully neutral. The evidence suggests he detected something unusual and reported it directly to Earth, Elara replied. Earth's response was to implement a communication blackout, possibly to avoid drawing attention to colonies that had detected this presence. Dr. Volkov stroked his beard thoughtfully. If true, this recasts our entire understanding of why Earth abandoned us. Not abandonment at all, but quarantine, protection through isolation. And now something has changed, Wei added. Earth reaches out after all this time, with a warning about something in our vicinity. Dr. Okafor, who had remained silent, finally spoke. There's a historical parallel here. On ancient Earth, indigenous peoples sometimes extinguished their fires when foreign ships appeared on the horizon. Darkness is protection from observation. You suggest Earth went dark to hide from something, Nakamura said. And now they have lit their fire again. Okafor continued. The question is, why now? What's changed? A soft tone interrupted them. The prepared response to Earth was ready for final approval before transmission. Nakamura studied the gathered faces. We cannot proceed as planned, she decided. This information changes everything. Chief Reed, modify our response. Acknowledge receipt, confirm our status, but include what you have discovered about your grandfather's observations. Ask directly about this potential non-human presence. As Elara worked on revising the message, Dr. Volkov approached with a concerned expression. "There's another possibility we should consider," he said quietly. "What if this message isn't from Earth at all?" The room fell silent. "What are you suggesting?" Wei demanded. "Consider the timing," Volkov replied. Chief Reed sends her quarterly signal, something she's done for years. And suddenly, after nearly 2 centuries of silence, we receive a response. And this response contains encryption similar to our own colonial code. "You think someone intercepted my transmission and is posing as Earth?" Elara realized, her blood running cold. "It's a possibility we must consider," Volkov affirmed, "especially given your grandfather's records about unknown signals at the system's edge." Governor Nakamura's expression hardened. "We need more information before responding at all. Chief Reed, I want a complete analysis of the original transmission's point of origin." Dr. Volkov, assemble a team to review all astronomical data from the past year. Look for anything unusual at the system boundaries. "What about the response window?" Tomas asked. "Earth, or whatever sent the message, expects our reply within the next few hours. We will miss it deliberately," Nakamura decided. "If it's truly Earth reaching out after generations of silence, they will try again. If it's something else." She left the implication hanging. As the meeting adjourned, Elara found herself standing alone in the corridor with Wei. "Your family has carried secrets for generations," he observed, his tone not quite accusatory. "I knew nothing of this until today," she replied firmly. Wei studied her face. "I believe you. But I wonder what else might be hidden in those communication archives." "I intend to find out," Elara said. "Whatever my grandfather discovered, whatever Earth was protecting us from, it might still be out there. And now it might know we are listening again." Elara couldn't sleep. After hours of analyzing the transmission with her team, she had returned to her quarters, but rest eluded her. The mystery of her grandfather's discovery and the sudden message from Earth, if it was Earth, kept her mind racing to T317. Her personal terminal chimed with an incoming message. Unusual for that hour. She opened it to find a text-only communication from Dr. Volkov. "Observatory detected anomalous energy signature at system's edge. Coming to Communication Center. Meet me there immediately. Tell no one yet." Elara dressed quickly and made her way through Halcyon's quiet streets. The colony's main dome cast everything in soft artificial twilight during night hours, the amber sky above barely visible through the transparent sections. The communication center was normally staffed at all hours, but operated with minimal personnel during night shift. Elara found only 2 technicians on duty, monitoring routine systems. "Dr. Volkov hasn't arrived yet?" she asked. The senior technician looked confused. "No, ma'am. We weren't expecting him." A sense of unease settled over Elara. She checked her terminal again. The message had definitely come from Volkov's account. She tried contacting him directly, but received no response. "Contact security," she instructed the technician. "Request an officer check Dr. Volkov's quarters. Something's not right." While waiting, Elara accessed the observatory's recent data logs. She found nothing about an anomalous energy signature. Either Volkov had discovered something so recent it wasn't logged yet, or her terminal chimed again. Another message from Volkov's account. In Archive Level B. Found critical information. Come alone. Archive Level B, where she and Tomas had discovered her grandfather's hidden files. Elara's unease deepened. She contacted Wei directly. "Something's happening," she explained, describing the messages. "I believe someone may have compromised Dr. Volkov's communications." "Don't go anywhere," Wei ordered. "I'm sending a security team to your location and to Volkov's quarters. Stay on this channel." Elara agreed, but as she ended the call, the communications center's lights flickered momentarily. Both technicians frowned at their consoles. "Power fluctuation in the grid," one reported. "Minor, but not scheduled. The lights flickered again, longer this time. Then the main display activated without command, scrolling text appearing. Communication protocols recognized. Reed genetic signature detected. Contingency measures initiated. What is this? Demanded the senior technician, trying to regain control of the system. Elara stared at the screen, a terrible realization dawning. It's reacting to me, to my family's signature. What is? The technician asked, but Elara was already moving to the central console, entering her override codes. The building's security systems engaged, doors locking automatically as emergency containment protocols activated. Alara's hands flew across the controls, trying to counter whatever had infiltrated their systems. The array, she shouted to the technicians. Disconnect the primary receiver. Physically cut the connection. As one technician rushed to comply, the display changed again. Contingency message follows. Grandfather to granddaughter. If these words activate, the Watchers have returned. They mimic. They learn. They wait. Earth silence was our shield. Protocol Sundown must be enacted. Forgive me. The lights failed completely. Emergency illumination casting everything in red glow. Through the windows, Elara could see lights failing across the colony in a cascading pattern. Her terminal crackled with Way's voice. Reed, what's happening? It's some kind of automated system, she replied urgently. Left by my grandfather. He called them the Watchers, whatever he detected at the system's edge. They are here, Way. The signal wasn't from Earth, it was bait. Security alarms blared throughout the complex as emergency power systems engaged. In the distance, Elara heard the colony's perimeter defense system activating for the first time since Halcyon's founding. Protocol Sundown, she whispered, remembering the message. What did you prepare for, grandfather? The next 12 hours transformed Halcyon. Governor Nakamura declared a colony-wide emergency as systems throughout the settlement behaved in increasingly erratic ways. Communications, power distribution, environmental controls, all affected by what appeared to be a coordinated cyber intrusion in the council's emergency bunker. Elara presented what she had learned from further investigation of her grandfather's hidden archives. He called them the Watchers, an entity or civilization that observes developing technological species from a distance. She explained to the assembled leadership. They monitor communication signals, learning and mimicking to assess potential threats. An alien intelligence? Dr. Okafor asked. Yes, Elara confirmed. My grandfather detected their observation posts at the edge of our system shortly before Earth's final transmission. He reported his findings to Earth, who confirmed similar observations near other colonies. And Earth's response was to go silent, Nakamura concluded, to appear non-threatening or perhaps even extinct. Exactly. But my grandfather feared it was already too late for us, that by detecting and analyzing the Watchers, we had drawn their attention irrevocably. So he created Protocol Sundown, a contingency plan if they ever returned. Wei leaned forward. What does this protocol entail? Elara hesitated. It's radical. The complete shutdown of all our interstellar communication capabilities. The dismantling of our long-range sensors. Essentially, technological regression in specific areas to make us appear less advanced, less threatening. That's absurd. Counselor Jianzhang objected. We can't simply abandon 2 centuries of technological progress. Not all progress, Elara clarified. Just our capacity to detect or contact anything beyond our immediate system. My grandfather believed the Watchers only intervene with civilizations that demonstrate certain technological capabilities, specifically those related to interstellar observation and communication. So we blind and mute ourselves, Wei said skeptically, and hope these Watchers lose interest. There's more, Elara continued. The protocol includes activating a dormant defense system, technology brought from Earth but never implemented. It generates a field that disrupts the particular quantum frequencies the Watchers use for observation. Dr. Volkov, who had been found unconscious in his quarters hours earlier, looked troubled. If such technology exists, why did your grandfather keep it secret? Why not activate it immediately? Because it requires enormous power, Elara replied. Power we didn't have in the colony's early years. And because he hoped it wouldn't be necessary, that Earth's silence would be protection enough. Nakamura's expression was grave. And now we have been compromised, Elara said. The message we received, mimicking Earth's communication patterns but incorporating our own colonial encryption, was a test. When I responded with my quarterly signal, it confirmed active technology users were still here. The Watchers have found us again. Tomas, who had been silent until now, spoke up. The system infiltration we are experiencing, it's trying to learn everything about us, isn't it? Assessing our capabilities, our threat potential. Yes, Elara nodded. And according to my grandfather's notes, this assessment precedes direct intervention. We don't know what form that takes, but historical patterns from other systems suggest complete technological disruption at minimum. How long do we have? Wei asked. Unknown, but the infiltration is accelerating. The quantum fluctuations our observatory detected at the system's edge are increasing in frequency and magnitude. Governor Nakamura stood, her decision made. Implement Protocol Sundown. Chief Wei, organize evacuation of non-essential personnel from the communications complex. Dr. Volkov, calculate power requirements for this defense system and prepare to redirect colony resources. Dr. Okafor, begin archiving all essential knowledge in non-networked, hardened storage. As the council mobilized, Elara returned to the communications center with Tomas and a security detail. The building remained under lockdown, systems fluctuating between normal operation and bizarre behavior. Where is this defense technology? Tomas asked as they descended to the lower levels. Below the communications array, Elara replied. In a shielded chamber my grandfather designed. If his notes are accurate, it was built into the foundation of the colony's first structures, hiding in plain sight for generations. They reached a heavy door that Elara had never noticed despite years working in the facility. It bore no markings, appearing to be part of the structural wall until she placed her palm against a specific section. The door silently receded, revealing a chamber filled with technology unlike anything in the colony. This isn't colonial tech, Wei observed, scanning the alien-looking equipment. This came from Earth. Advanced Earth technology, Elara confirmed. From before whatever catastrophe led to Protocol Omega. My grandfather's notes suggest Earth was already aware of the Watchers before we encountered them, perhaps had even developed countermeasures in anticipation. The central piece was a cylindrical device connected to multiple power conduits that disappeared into the walls. Its surface bore no visible controls or interfaces. How do we activate it? Tomas asked. Elara approached the cylinder cautiously. According to the protocol, it requires a genetic key. Reed family DNA, like the archives. She placed her palm on the smooth surface. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the cylinder illuminated from within. Lines of light tracing complex patterns as it hummed to life. A holographic interface materialized above the device, displaying scrolling data and a simple message. Read, Elara K. Identified. Quantum displacement field generator initializing. Warning. Full activation requires colony-wide power redirection. Proceed. Elara looked away, who nodded grimly. Governor Nakamura has authorized full implementation. Do it. As Elara confirmed the command, alarms sounded throughout the colony. Power systems began shutting down in sequence as energy was diverted to the ancient device. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows across the chamber. It's drawing more power than anticipated, Tomas reported, monitoring the flow. Environmental systems are compensating, but we are approaching critical limits. We need to disable the interstellar array completely, Elara realized. Cut all connections, physical and wireless. Wei dispatched security teams to manually sever the connections while Tomas worked to isolate the colony's internal networks from any external access points. Minutes stretched into hours as they worked. Throughout Halcyon, colonists prepared for potential evacuation, gathering in designated shelters as power fluctuated and systems behaved erratically. In the chamber, Elara monitored the defense system's activation sequence. The holographic display showed the gradual expansion of the quantum displacement field, designed to disrupt the frequencies the Watchers used for observation and intrusion. Field at 60% coverage, she reported. Power consumption stabilizing. Wei's radio crackled. Security teams report unusual phenomena at the colony perimeter. Lights in the sky, moving in non-natural patterns. They are here, Elara whispered. The Watchers have arrived. The holographic display flickered, showing new data as the system detected anomalous energy signatures approaching Halcyon. The patterns matched those in her grandfather's records, the distinctive signature of Watcher technology. Field at 75% coverage, Tomas called. Power reserves at critical levels. The chamber trembled as something massive passed overhead. The colony's external sensors captured images of enormous structures descending through the atmosphere, geometric shapes that seemed to shift and reconfigure as they moved. They are landing, Wei reported, voice tight. Northern perimeter. On the display, the quantum field continued expanding, now encountering resistance as it intersected with the Watcher's technology. Energy patterns clashed, creating cascading disruptions visible as atmospheric disturbances above the colony. Field at 85%, Elara announced. The Watchers are attempting to counteract it. The chamber shook violently. Overhead, the sounds of structural stress groaned through the building as forces beyond colonial science battled for dominance. Power reserves failing, Tomas warned. Field destabilizing at Sector 7. Elara made a rapid decision. Redirect power from life support to the field generators. Section by section, 3-minute intervals. That will leave parts of the colony without air circulation or temperature control, Wei objected. They can survive 3 minutes, Elara countered. If the field fails completely, we lose everything. Wei reluctantly gave the order. Throughout Halcyon, life support systems began cycling down in a rotating pattern, redirecting precious energy to the ancient defense technology that on the surface, colonists watched in terror as the alien structures, now clearly visible as kilometers-long vessels of impossible geometry, positioned themselves around Halcyon's perimeter. Smaller objects detached from the vessels, descending toward the colony's main dome. In the chamber, Elara and her team fought desperately to maintain the quantum field as it battled against Watcher technology. The holographic display showed the field fluctuating, weakening in some areas while strengthening in others as they redirected power. Field at 92%, Tomas reported, but it's unstable. Elara studied the patterns frantically, noticing how the Watcher's energy signatures responded to their adjustments. They are learning, she realized, adapting to our countermeasures. A new alert appeared on the display. The Watchers had begun broadcasting a signal directly toward the colony, attempting to bypass the quantum field through brute force transmission. They are trying to communicate, Wei observed. No, Elara corrected, recognizing the pattern from her grandfather's notes. They are trying to override our systems directly to assert control. The signal intensified, focusing on the weakest points in the quantum field. Across Halcyon, networked systems began failing as the intrusion deepened. We can't maintain the field against this level of attack, Tomas admitted, his voice strained. Power reserves at 12% and falling. Elara stared at the display, watching as the Watchers methodically dismantled their defenses. Her grandfather had prepared as best he could, but this technology, advanced as it was still nearly 2 centuries old. The Watchers had evolved. A terrible clarity came to her. We need to send a message. To whom? Way demanded. Earth can't help us. Not to Earth, Elara said. To them, the Watchers. She moved to the communication terminal, bypassing the colony's regular channels to access the quantum field generator's own transmission capabilities, a function she hadn't known existed until now. What are you doing? Tomas asked, watching in confusion. My grandfather's notes contained one last contingency, Elara explained, working rapidly. A message, a truth. She accessed the final encrypted file in her grandfather's archive, extracting a data packet unlike anything she'd seen before. The file contained information compiled from Earth's earliest cosmic explorations, proof that humanity had encountered the Watchers before, long before Halcyon's founding. Proof that humanity had recognized a fundamental truth about them. The Watchers don't destroy technological civilizations, Elara said, preparing the transmission. They test them, force them to innovate or regress. My grandfather suspected their true purpose. They're cultivating species, pushing evolutionary development through technological challenges. And this will convince them to spare us. Wei asked skeptically. No, Elara replied. This will show them we understand the game, that we are self-aware enough to recognize their pattern, their purpose. She initiated the transmission, channeling it through the quantum field directly to the Watcher vessels. The message contained everything Earth had learned about the Watchers over centuries of observation. Knowledge that had been hidden from the colonies for their protection. Knowledge that revealed humanity had passed this test before. As the transmission completed, the attack on Halcyon systems abruptly ceased. The enormous vessels hovering above the colony remained motionless, their smaller craft freezing in mid-descent. The holographic display flickered, then stabilized, showing a new message. Observation Protocol Alpha 7 concluded species development assessment. Satisfactory. Quarantine status lifted. The colony systems gradually returned to normal as the Watcher vessels began ascending, their geometric shapes reconfiguring as they rose through the atmosphere. Within minutes, they had vanished beyond visual range. In the chamber, Elara collapsed into a chair, exhaustion overtaking her. They are leaving. What just happened? Tomas asked, bewildered. We passed their test, Elara explained wearily. By understanding their purpose, by demonstrating awareness of our place in their grand experiment, we proved ourselves worthy of advancement. And the message from Earth? Wei questioned. A catalyst, Elara realized, designed to provoke a specific response, to see if we would discover my grandfather's contingency plans, if we would piece together the truth about the Watchers. The holographic display changed again, this time showing a genuine transmission, the quantum signature unmistakably human in origin. A voice filled the chamber, the first true communication from Earth in 189 years. Halcyon Colony, this is Earth Command. If you are receiving this, you have encountered the Watchers and survived their assessment. You are not alone. We have re-established contact with 7 colonies who have passed similar tests. The quarantine is over. Welcome back to the human family. 3 months later, Elara stood once again atop the communications tower, but this time with purpose. The array had been completely rebuilt, upgraded with technology Earth had developed during the long silence. Advancements born from their own continued encounters with the Watchers below, Halcyon Colony bustled with renewed energy. The knowledge that Earth had survived, that other colonies existed and were now in communication, had transformed colonial society. Plans for interstellar vessels were already underway. Ships that would, for the first time since Halcyon's founding, allow travel between human settlements among the stars. Elara attached the final component to the new array, completing the upgrade. This technology was different, not designed to hide from the Watchers, but to communicate with them as equals. Earth had learned much in the intervening centuries. Ready for initialization, Tomas called from the control platform. Proceed, Elara replied. The array hummed to life, its energy signature distinct from the old system. a declaration of humanity's advancement rather than a whisper into the void. Governor Nakamura's voice came through Elara's communicator. Status report. New Earth Communication Network online, Elara confirmed. Quantum entanglement channels established with Sol System and Proxima Colony. We are reconnected, Governor. And the Watcher protocols? Active but non-defensive, Elara explained. As Earth recommended, we are not hiding anymore. We are announcing our presence as a species that understands the rules of engagement. Since the departure of the Watcher vessels, information had flooded in from Earth. The true history of humanity's relationship with the mysterious observers. The catastrophic conflict mentioned in the first transmission had been real, but not what they imagined. Earth had fought not against the Watchers directly, but against factions that wanted to either worship them as gods or destroy them as threats. In the end, understanding had prevailed. The Watchers were neither saviors nor conquerors, but gardeners of a sort. Ancient beings who cultivated intelligent life throughout the galaxy, presenting challenges that forced evolution.